Where'd my thingy go? My thingy over here. Yay! I think we're live. Awesome. All right, let me just do some minor adjustments. I need to be able to see comments. Okay, got that. Okay, cool. That's so neat. I love it. Okay. Hi, everyone. I don't know, what a good intro is. It's usually Sam doing the intro. This is the first time I've streamed myself in a very long time. Those of you who've stuck around for a while know that I used to stream on Twitch pretty regularly every week. Oh, this is weird. Look at my hands. Like, hi, Andrew. Good to see you. Yes. see, seeing that pop up is amazing. Thanks, Thermo. I appreciate you being the ghost in the machine for me. But yeah, I used to stream a lot on Twitch, and then we moved houses, and then I just got out of the habit of it. But those of you who have been around know that I love like doing crafting streams. So basically, my plan is I have this shoulder piece that I'm making. I am working on an original cosplay that's going to be like a druid, fairy, tiefling sort of thing. I have like these like cool like horn prosthetics that I'm going to be using and decorating. And one of the things that I want to do is create like this very like anime shoulder thing. So it's gonna be a pauldron that has like, and like this is gonna be all like strapless and stuff like that. And it's gonna be a pauldron that's just kind of like hanging out on my shoulder. And it's got a beautiful bird motif. And I was thinking, it's kind of fun to have that like very anime shoulder. And why not use it as an example or time to talk about one of my favorite things and one of the things I think that cosplayers kind of struggle with, whether you're a beginner, especially if you're a beginner, but whether you're a beginner or advanced, which is how do I get this thing to stick to this thing? Especially because this pauldron, I am planning on using foam for the base. And then I have a light source. This is a cut up Christmas ornament. I am going to use Sintra for, this is going to be like the bird motif. It'll make sense once I start putting it together, as well as gossamer stuff for the feathers. So this is going to combine like 6 to 10 different materials. I've got resin pieces that I'm going to use as decorations. I was going to use hot glue as kind of scroll work and stuff like that. So this is a great example of how one cosplay prop can span a lot of different glues. So we're gonna talk about glues today, including my favorite one. So hi, Django. Yeah, very sad years. Like it's I always see people streaming and I'm just like, to get back on doing that. But I was an unmedicated adult with ADHD and depression, so it didn't happen. But I'm medicated now, so it might now happen. I mean, it is happening right now. So thanks. Oh, yes, Andrew, I freaking love Nightwish. Nightwish is one of my favorite bands. In fact, one of the YouTubers I follow who is a vocal coach just discovered Nightwish, and watching him live react to love score song. I'm blanking on the name of the song, but her like big operatic song was really fun. Hi Turco, thanks for joining in. Yeah, and I've got like this really nice like crafting room. It's not actually huge, but I've got plenty of space and I've got shelves. There's like, this guy hanging out with me. And of course, on the other side of the door, the dogs are absolutely neglected and sad and absolutely like just so bereft at being left out. So I want to show you guys the glues that we're going to be using today because I actually I prepped like Go medication. Okay, so these are 5 of my top 6 cosplay glues. I say 5 of the top 6 because one of them I didn't grab because we're just not going to get to it today. But number 1, this is my favorite glue. This is my go-to glue. I'm realizing how crappy this web camera is, but this is my go-to glue. This is Barge Contact Cement. I love Barge. I love it so much. Oh, look at my nose. Hi, my nose. I love Barge Contact Cement. Yeah, Ghost Lab Score. That's the song. So fucking good. If you haven't heard it, like, go listen to it. It's fucking amazing. It looks frightening and industrial. Yes, well, this is the industrial size because I use this glue so much. It actually comes in a smaller, like, petite blue thing that kind of looks like this. So if you're not using like a lot of it, I go through these quite a bit, and they're quite, like, the whole thing is, oh my god, it's glued. Well, we'll get to that later. But yeah, I go through these. These are definitely the industrial size. This is a shoemaker's rubber cement. So it does have really, really strong hold. It's waterproof. It's very durable. It goes great with a variety of materials. It does great with foam is where it shines. Absolutely. If you're doing a foam build, this is my go-to glue. If you are using foam, it does good on plastic. So like if you're gluing Warbler or Terraflex to something, it does well with that. It'll do well with this, like plasticky things. Some of the downsides is it is carcinogenic. So when I use it, I will be opening the window. I should be wearing a respirator, but if I wear the respirator, you guys can't hear me. So this is going to be one of those cases of do as I say, not as I do. And remember that when I'm crafting on my own, I'm wearing the respirator. So PPE is important. So it is carcinogenic in that regard, and it is yellow and kind of like stringy. So it can be kind of difficult to get in precise locations, and you don't really want it visible because it's ugly. So number 1, Barge. Freaking love Barge. Set that here. Number 2, my second favorite glue, and probably the glue I use the second most, is actually super glue. So this is Loctite brand super glue. Under the title of super glue, there's like 4 to 6 different types of glue. Super glue is like a catch-all for any sort of transparent glue that adheres pretty quickly. I specifically like the formulation that's called CA glue or cyanoacrylate. Sam, do you know how to spell it? Can you put it up on the thingy? Cyanoacrylate. It's CA glue. But there's specific brands that are CA glue. And this one, Loctite, is my favorite. It comes in these little things, which is kind of annoying because I will go through these really fast. But you can buy a bigger bottle. I like BSI Industries, Bob Smith Industries CA glue. It comes in a bigger bottle. It comes with a brush. Freaking awesome. Yes. Thank you. That's a word I can't say. Also the word for rare earth magnets. I can't say that either. Neodymium. Neodymium. Yep, that's the other one I can't say. It's a lost cause. Either of those. Lost cause. If you glue your hand to the table, you have to gnaw off your hand. Not with Barge, thankfully, but you will lose the top layer of skin. Yeah. And then it'll be like all like clunky and gross. Wear the respirator, stay safe. Yes. I will be talking more about like which ones need PPE. Andrew, I'm glad to hear that you are doing better. Hi, Lewis. Lewis says, please do more pink twee. The evolution of the character is awesome. Thank you. Her name is Lyra, and she owns a cantina on Coruscant, the core world, or at least she did until they like freaking blew it up. So I don't know what world I guess they didn't blow up Coruscant. But anyway, she owns a cantina on a core world, and she has dancers and singers, and it's one of those like posh places where you go for companionship. Only her other feature is that she is taking all of the secrets she learns from her dancers and her companions and using those to kind of get her way. So she's like I call her a secrets peddler because she uses that. Does she know Rio? Yes, and they hate each other. Rio thinks of Elira as a sleazeball, and Elira thinks of Rio as an idiot. So I have been working on a Lego Kingdom. There is a character based on you. Oh, thank you. You'll have to send me a screenshot of it. I look forward to it. But yeah, back to the glues. Super glue is fantastic because it's a very quick hold. So if you need something very quickly, this is great. And these little, like, I get the gel kind because then it's really easy to like precisely apply it. The big downside is that you have to go out of your way to find the bigger containers. Like I can go through one of these containers in a single build. Like it gets kind of expensive to use the super glue, but I really love super glue. So that's number 2, super glue. Number 3 is one that I feel like a lot of cosplayers like pass over, and I genuinely don't understand it. And it's E6000. Also, I'm just now realizing that like everything is flipped for you guys. So I'm like showing you, but you can't read it, but it's E6000. This is a clear, transparent, flexible, paintable glue. It is awesome. It is so useful. It adheres to plastics really well. It adheres to metals really well. It adheres to foams really well. It adheres to fabrics really well. I love this stuff. And the fact that it dries clear and flexible is huge. It is so useful if you have something that is like on a foam piece. This is great for securing elastics if it's going to be visible. If it's not going to be visible, I use the barge because the barge is a more secure one. But E6000 is it's just a great glue. I use it whenever I need to glue jewelry onto resin pieces, or whenever I have a small delicate piece that I need securely and it's going to be visible. E6000. Downsides with E6000, the big one is that it is carcinogenic again. So wear your respirator when you're using it. And the other kind of downside is that it takes about 15 minutes for it to set, to cure up. So like you have to, if you're sitting there and holding it, it can be really annoying. So I always try and think ahead of how I'm going to either tape the pieces together, clamp them together, set them up, whatever, so I don't have to sit there and hold. So that's a big downside with E6000 is it's not an instant hold. It's not a very fast hold, but once it cures, it is a fantastic hold. I love E6000. Turco says he's got to run for a bit. Yeah, thanks for popping in on work. I appreciate it. I appreciate you joining us for a little bit. So, okay, so that's glue number 4. Nope, 3. I can count. Glue number 4 is kind of a niche one. And like, I feel like a lot of cosplayers aren't ever going to need this, but when you need this glue, this is the best glue. And we are talking about DevCon Plastic Welder. What is Plastic Welder? Plastic Welder holds plastics together and you will never get them apart. Ever, 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 ever. I have had armor pieces, so many armor pieces that like I glue together, and if they break over here, not at the seam line. The seam line is like the strongest part of the build. Like DevCon Plastic Welder, once it sets on plastic, like that shit is staying. So anyone who is going to use Sintra, who is going to be looking at using Mandalorian, or even a lot of the certain ones of the 3D filaments, like the ABS does really well with this. PLA does okay, I think. I haven't used this with PLA, but I know it does really well with ABS. This is the strongest, most durable hold that you're going to get for plastics. So if you're going plastic to plastic, this baby. Downsides is that, again, shocker, it's carcinogenic. So it's stinky. It doesn't smell really good. It also comes in a cream color, which I kind of like because once it's cured, it's paintable. And I tend to put excess in the seam lines so that when I smush them together, I get like a bead. And then it becomes like when that hardens, it looks like a welding line. So like if you want your seam lines to be visible, then like this plastic welder is great for that. And it also takes about half an hour to it takes half an hour to get to the point where you can like manipulate a little bit. It takes 24 hours to fully cure. So this is a clamp it and forget it. This is not a night of the con sort of thing because it needs to off gas before you can paint it. So if you don't know what the term off gassing is, it just means that it's stinky for a while and that stinky will interfere with other paints. So you got to let it dry out. So, oh, hi, Eric. Thanks for stealth watching at work. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thermo and I were just talking, and I think like with the time change, especially, we'll probably do 5 to 7 from now on. It's just gives people time to get home. And it's hard because like on one hand, like I don't want the East Coast people to be up super late, but on the other hand, like most of my people are Arizona/West Coast. So like, I should be going to that. So, and then, so we've got 4 of my 5 favorite glues here. We've got the barge, we've got the super glue, we've got the plastic welder, we've got the E6000. And I feel like people are going to think I'm trolling, when I say this, but one of my top 5 favorite glues, it's hot glue. Yeah. Like I know none of us want to be that cosplayer that just hot glues. And, whenever we, end up hot gluing our cosplay together, it's all like, her, it's all put together with hot glue. But like, let's not sleep on hot glue. Let's not besmirch its name, right? Because hot glue is cheap. It is accessible. It is remarkably resilient. Apart from CA glue, hot glue has the most range of any of these products. Like hot glue will go on just about anything. I even use it on silicone. So like this stuff is versatile. If you get the better quality glue sticks, like the Gorilla glue sticks, the hold is pretty good. Should we be using it as the primary build material? Obviously not. It's not a permanent hold. It's a hold that you can kind of peel apart and stuff like that. But guys, like I use so much hot glue. It's a good gap filler. It's good for putting things on. It's non-toxic. Other than super glue, it's the only one up here that you don't have to wear a respirator from. I mean, it's not dangerous because like the number of times I burnt myself is pretty impressive, like really impressive burns too, which is why I tend to try and use the low temp as much as possible. But like hot glue is a fantastic fucking glue. And like if you use like these 5 glues, if these are in your arsenal, you can glue anything to anything. And if it's not possible to glue the thing to the other thing, then it's just not possible to glue it. There's other attachment methods. But these 5 glues, as long as I have these in stock, I can do anything. I can glue anything. I do have an honorable mention. It's not really glue, but it is an adhesive, and that's duct tape. I kind of love pairing this with the hot glue because, yeah, you don't want to be that person hot gluing and duct taping their cosplay together. But I love duct tape, as an emergency. Like whenever I'm at a con, you better believe I have a roll of duct tape with me because if something breaks, this is the easiest way to just kind of hold it on until we're done. And I use it a lot for like, for instance, on this shoulder pauldron. What did I just do with it? Literally able to lose my brain. So on the shoulder pauldron, this is going to sit kind of on the pauldron, and it's going to have lights in it. And in order to have the lights light up, they need to have batteries. In order for this cosplay to be not useless, I need to be able to access the batteries. So on the bottom of the pauldron, there will be a hole cut so that I can feed the wires to the battery pack. And you better believe it, I'm going to duct tape that battery pack to the underside of the pauldron because it's a hold that will keep it. It'll keep it secure. And when I need to take it apart so I can replace the batteries, it's easy to pull it apart and replace the batteries. Eric says, silence is gold and duct tape is silver. It is true. This is actually my at-home duct tape. If you look in my Mandalorian kit, I have a black roll of duct tape. So that's the duct tape that goes with me whenever I am at conventions. It is so useful. The number of times that my cosplay has been saved because I just so happened to have duct tape is innumerable. So that's my spiel on the glues. Kind of just in case anyone was late getting in here, we've got Barge contact cement, we've got E6000, we've got DevCon plastic welder, we've got hot glue, and we've got super glue. And then the sixth one that I don't have here because I was not going to use it is Prosaid. It is a special effects glue, and it's useful for gluing things to yourself. So that one's really useful. It's the only one of these that is safe to do that with. Like, yeah, all of these will glue things to you. You can make any of these stick things to you. Not in a healthy way, though. But Prosaid adhesive, you can stick things to you in a healthy way and then get them off without losing your skin. So those are my 6 glues that I fucking love, as well as my honorable mention of duct tape. And we are going to use all of these glues on the shoulder pauldron. So we probably won't get it done today. No, we won't get it done today because I need to assemble it. And then remember that pesky off-gassing thing. I will need things to off-gas before I can paint it. I need to paint it, and then I need to do the final assembly and the decorations and stuff like that. But we'll get a lot of the base cut today, and I'll talk about how I'm going to assemble it, and hopefully you guys will see kind of it come to life, I guess. Andrew asks, is it like spirit gum? Prosaid is like spirit gum, only better. So remember when I was talking about the super glues, about how super glue is just like a catch-all name for a bunch of different types of glue? Spirit gum is also a catch-all for a bunch of types of different glue. The most common is the Ben Nye spirit gum, I think it is. I think that's the one they sell in like Halloween stores and stuff like that. But that formulation is and can be different than any other spirit gum. Prosaid is a specific adhesive that is formulated for holding medical devices to your body. So it is non-toxic, it's safe for skin, it's safe to wear all day, it's safe to wear repeatedly, it's safe to sweat in, and it's got a really good hold. So if you've used spirit gum in the past and found that it fell off, try Prosaid. Prosaid is much better. Is spirit gum what you'd use for Robin's mask? No, I'd use Prosaid. Yeah. I'm just gonna be honest, I don't fuck with spirit gums anymore. Like if I'm gonna put something on my skin, I want it to stay. And so I just use Prosaid. Yeah. I mean, if you are only doing like small little horns or gems or something like that, spirit gum's gonna be fine. If you're doing elf ears, most of those are designed to like fit onto your ears, so spirit gum's just gonna hold them in place just fine. But for me personally, if I am gluing anything to my face, I am using Prosaid. Yep. Spirit gum is latex based and lightweight only. Yep. Exactly. So Prosaid is, if I'm going through the trouble of putting it on my skin, if I want it to be on my body, I'm going to use Prosaid. Yeah. And if I was gluing a mask on, which I have glued in the mask, in general, not you. So Andrew asked, if it's what I would, like in general, if it's what you'd use to glue Robin's mask on. And I think most people would go to spirit gum first, but I would recommend using Prosaid for the, aforementioned. It's just stronger and better. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where if you go into a Halloween store, they're not going to have Prosaid, but they are going to have spirit gum. So if you go in and go, I want to hold this mask on, they're going to go, oh, here's what you use. And then you're going to be like, wow, that only lasted for 2 hours. That kind of sucked. I don't really like it, but oh well, I just got to use it. I love these little these like info pop-ups. Like Thermo's like over there. She's like, I got you. I got you, boo. I got you. Yeah, spirit gum, absolutely. Because remember that spirit gum is just a catch-all for different formulations. So even if you find that you don't react to one type of spirit gum, please test every spirit gum that you use because it's completely different formulations. But yeah, like you go into the Halloween supplies stores and stuff like that, they're gonna be like, oh, here's spirit gum, use that. So it's just the thing that's kind of like ubiquitous as to, what people are going to be given to use when there are, and when you start doing more with it, you realize that there's a better option, which is Prosaid. So it's funny because the other special effects adhesive that I use a lot is purple Elmer's glue stick. Between purple Elmer's glue stick and Prosaid, that's all I use. I have done so many times where I'm just like, oh, purple glue stick and glue it right on my face. So Andrew says, gotta go, kitty's being needy. Go say hi to the kitty. Tell him I love him. Okay. So here is my base pattern. It is a pattern I yoinked off the internet. I did not make it myself. If you want this pattern, message me and I will link you to it. So I'm going to try and cut this out without taking out either. We're going to see. All right. First things first, I need a marker that's going to work. One of these is going to work. Okay. And then I am using EVA foam for this. This is this is the remainder of the giant roll I had bought like 4 years ago. And as you can see, like it has been kind of gunked up a little bit. Our previous cat Enzo, loved to just kind of sit there and chew on the edges of it. So you can see, I don't know if you can see because that like webcam is like crappy, but like there's like kitty teeth marks and everything like that. Like, it's always like the interesting challenge is how to keep your pets from killing themselves on your freaking cosplay. All right. Hello, my love. Whoops. I hope I don't need that one. Okay. So this is a high density foam. If you are using the cheap EVA floor mats, which not talking trash about them, they are really useful and I actually have like several over. Where are they? I don't know where they are. I do have the cheap EVA floor mats and I use them quite a bit. But this has no side. It's smooth on both sides. So I don't have to worry as much. But if you are using the EVA floor mat and it has a side, try to remember to cut each side. Like don't just cut two of these because then there's like two, right? So you want to cut this and then flip it and cut it again, if that makes sense. Because otherwise you're going to be like, dratted. This does not fit. All right, let's see. This is the Sharpie roulette. If I was better about my Sharpies, I would. We won the Sharpie roulette. I love it. I would do better about throwing away old Sharpies, but I don't. I can't be bothered. What inevitably happens is that my Sharpie is old. And so I try to use it and then I cap it and chuck it because it's not working. And then like hours later, I'm like, oh, what's this Sharpie doing here? And then I'll pick it up and I'll put it back without like throwing it away. So again, one of the things that I do is if I know I need to cut sides is I'll start and then I will check mark to remind myself that I've cut that side, and then I'll flip and I'll cut the other side. I don't actually have to do that right now because this foam is not, like I said, sided, but we'll do it just for good exposure. No. All right. Let's do this. Yes, I am one of those people that tries to piece my parts as cleanly as possible on the EVA foam. I think it's the quilter in me. Also the cheapskate, because like I hate being stuck with like all these like pieces of foam that are like big enough to do something with, but like not big enough to do anything useful with. And then like I'm like, oh, I can't throw them away. They might be useful. And then I end up with like a tub of just pieces of foam. I'm like, no, they're too big. I can't throw them away. Okay. I need to cut this. I thought I had my finger. Oh, literally right here. This is my brand new cutting mat. It's so nice. I like it so much. So I'm going to use my janky cutting mat so that this one stays a little bit nicer for a little bit longer. So I appreciate your frugalness. Yeah. Also, like it's efficiency, right? Like I want to be efficient and use my materials efficiently. It's cheapskate, and it's also like laziness because like I do a lot of like building with Sintra, and Sintra is such a fucking pain to get because like it's the shipping cost is like through the roof. It costs so much to ship it. I should have gotten myself a new soda. I might end up taking a break so I can go grab another drink, but we'll see. Yeah, like Sintra like costs like I don't know if is there anyone watching who doesn't know what Sintra is? Because I've got like a huge sheet, but if everyone's like, oh, I know what Sintra is, I'm not going to pull it out because like you're going to see my ridiculous pants if I stand up. But they come in big sheets, so they cost a lot to ship. So I don't like shipping them. So, okay, I'm going to start cutting. Okay, so this is the seam line. So I want to cut the seam line on a slight bevel so that it goes together at a slight peak because I want this to kind of look like a, like that's the shape I want. If I want it to meet perfectly, I want to cut like nice, I guess. Maybe we just cut nice. Oh, I just forgot everything about this. Fine. You guys are going to see my ridiculous pants. They are Powerpuff Girls and they're fleece. So, Sintra comes in giant sheets. This is like a super cut down sheet. Like this is a tiny, tiny scrap of a sheet, but they come in these huge sheets. It's plastic and it is what Mandalorians and people who like awesome armor use for their armor. Yes, I love my Powerpuff Girl fleece pajamas too. That's why they've got so much resin and glue and crap on them that I can't wear them out in public. So the joys of being a crafter is just like, my stuff is just jank, you know? Okay. I think I have like one pair of like nice leggings that I just got from Jess. Like shout out to the Jinx cosplay. And like they're like my only pair of leggings that don't have um like resin and stuff all over them. So all right, here's my box cutter. Safety with box cutters is if it's not in your hand, it's closed. Okay. Again, if it's not in your hand, it's closed. So pick it up, open it. If you're going to put it down, close it. Okay. It's not in your hand, it's closed. So you would wear pajama pants in public if they don't have, I do wear pajama pants in public. Are you kidding me? I only have to be hot when people pay me. If I'm going for tortillas, I'm comfy. I'm comfy. And also it's been cold here in Phoenix. So, So this foam kind of pampers me a little bit because it cuts so nicely. If you are cutting your EVA foam and you're finding that like it's not cutting very nicely, one of the things I recommend doing first is always use a fresh blade. Your blades dull very quickly when you're cutting foam. I probably should have switched out the blade, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll just Dremel the edges if they're bad. So always A, have a fresh blade, and B, if that is still having like if you're still having difficulty cutting, heat your foam. So like when you heat EVA foam, it kind of shrinks and gets a little bit more dense. And then when you cut it, you're going to have nicer edges. Like you're going to have less like ripping and moving and stuff like that. So if you're using the cheaper EVA floor foam mats, I always preheat my foam and then I sketch and cut it. And then I do any dremeling and further heat shaping and stuff like that from there. But preheat your foam if you want an easier cut, or like buy the like fancy stuff. So this is my last bit of fancy stuff. So I'm like sitting here going, I need to find a fancy supplier again. Okay. And then you can see here, this is my seam line. I've already made notches because I want to be able to line it up later. Oh, and I totally talked about how I was going to bevel it, and then I didn't bevel it. Oh, well. Past Amber had great plans. Present Amber did not live up to those plans. It's fine. I remember the first few times I worked with foam, I was like, I'm so sorry, I got distracted. Hi, Brenna. Oh my God, it's Burning Raven. Oh my God, Burning Raven is in my chat, you guys. Like she's in my chat right now. Do you guys know her? Like, of course you know her. She makes these amazing fairy wings. She's like so amazing. Like, no plan survives that enemy contact. It's true. No plan survives my ADHD is what really kind of gets us here. So love you too. I hope you guys are like all doing okay after all the fires and stuff like that. Hopefully everything's kind of back in order. I know you guys were not super close to where everything was going down, but that whole area was affected, I know. So that's fine. Okay, so I got my little thingies. So these are going to go together like this. Okay. I am going to go ahead and heat shape it just a little bit right now. I need a ball. Hold on, I'll be right back. Ugh. Powerpuff Girl pants. I need a ball. Do I have a ball? I do not have a ball. Oh, I have a head. I have a head. I have a head. And I have a heat gun. Yay. Oh my God, go in. Okay. So I was saying I need a ball. One of the things that I do when I have things to heat shape is I generally have bucks or negatives that I use to shape over top of things. And like you don't have to have anything fancy. The ball that I use the most, which is like my favorite buck to shape on, is actually a plastic like kids bowling thing. It's like this bright, I'll have to grab it for next stream or something like this. This is a bright green plastic bowling ball. And it is sturdy and it doesn't get hot and it doesn't adhere to the foam. So whenever I want to like shape a nice curve into foam, I heat it up and I stretch it over that ball and it gives me just like the nicest curve. So I've got a head here. I don't know if this is going to work. She's a little wiggly, but we're going to see what's going to happen. So I'm just going to heat these up and shape them really quickly. So, noise warning. If you want to mute me, I will wave when it's all done. Okay. So if you don't want to hear the heat gun, mute me right now. I will wave when it's all done. Okay. You just like, oh yeah, it flips, which is why I love it. But like, it's seen better days, guys. It's seen better days. So, doo-doo. Okay. I'll kind of just pull it over. Yeah, my bowling ball would have worked better for this, but you gotta kind of like, be cognizant of like what it is you're shaping. Like I know I want like the round thing and then like the flange. So that's why I'm shaping it like that. Like the other thing is that I feel like a lot of times newbie cosplayers are kind of like not afraid of, but like gentle with their materials. And like you can see how much like force I'm putting onto it. Like we are stretching this baby. This is why one of the things that I really strongly recommend is if you are getting into foam work, if you've never done it before, take a bit of foam and just see how far you can push it until you ruin it. Like heat it up until it's all like bubbly and blistered and gross. Like heat it up so that you can see how far it goes until it's bad. Take it, heat shape it, pull it with all your might. Like really take a piece and push it too far. So that way, when you are crafting how far you can push it. And like, that's the thing with Sintra too, is like a lot of times I feel like people don't get as much from their Sintra as they could because they don't push it as far. And then people are like, oh, how did you make a boob plate? I'm like, well, I just kept stretching it. Like I made it goo and then I kept pushing it. Like, so you can see my initial, this is just a rough shaping. You can see. And I just want to point out that if I was using Sintra, like that deep cup I put into it would have stayed. In case you wonder why I make everything I can out of Sintra, is because it's better. It is. We're going to see all the foam smiths in my like YouTube comments like, you don't know what you're talking about. I made a foam build and it's lasted 20 years and it looks amazing. Yeah, you can. But like, how much extra work did you do to get that foam to look as good as my Sintra does when I half-ass it? Like, I don't know, y'all. Everyone has a favorite material, and I am very, very obvious with mine. What is crap all over? Okay, so that is the top. Let me shape this other one. Be gun, going on. Stretchy, stretch, stretch. Stretchy, stretchy, stretch. Yay! It's going away. I'm putting it down very carefully so I don't later step on it and burn myself. Or melt my carpet. There are so many melted spots on the carpet, so we're going to have to recarpet before we leave. Okay. Turco returns for my crafting wisdom. Hi, Turco. Welcome back. Django says, very sassy. Yeah. I don't know. Like, people make it so hard on themselves with foam so often, and I'm just like, for so much of what people are doing with foam, like, you could just do it with Sintra, and it would last longer and look better, but, like, Sintra has this, like reputation, I guess, for being like expensive, like high-end and stuff like that, and it's not. It's so much better. How did you learn how to be such a crafts goddess? By making a lot of mistakes and building really bad things. I should do a craft or a stream on some of my worst builds, because like the build that I learned the most about foam was actually my Asari, my Liara outfit, which I wore to one convention once and one photo shoot, even though I spent 3 months building it. I wore it once. I hated it. I hated it. Be crazy and use vinyl. Just kidding. Yeah. I love vinyl though. Vinyls, you don't have to freaking hem vinyl. You know, if you get, it depends on what vinyl. Because some vinyls are like really annoying. I can't see the YouTube feed. I see your fans are here. Oh, on Facebook. Oh, you switched from YouTube to I see. Could have been worse. Yeah, it could have been worse. I could have spent 3 months building it and then like not even gotten any pictures of it. Like, I guess that could have happened, but I don't know. Yeah, I learned a lot from that build about what I didn't like about armor, and it instilled, like, I think it really like it cemented the fact that I don't care about being 100% canon if 100% canon doesn't make sense, I guess. You know, because in Mass Effect, they have these like hip armors that go all the way over. And now if I were, and I built it that way because that's how it was canon. And now if I was to build a Mass Effect, I would segment those pieces and layer them, which wouldn't be canon, but it would look similar and be actually wearable, which canon Mass Effect armor is not freaking wearable. So like that build did a lot to like really tune in how I feel about like canon versus comfort versus realism. And I'm always going to go for comfort and realism over canon. Like if I can get to Canon. I mean, obviously I want to get to Canon. Like I built a Nautilin as close to Canon as possible because like I was like, well, I'm going to build that thing that they could only CGI. Like I'm going to make it real. So obviously I like the challenge of building to Canon, but at the end of the day, I'm always going to err on the side of how does this actually work in real life? So how did you create the character Rio? I stole her from my husband. I wish I was joking. So back when my husband and I first met, we were doing Star Wars role play, and my character at the time was a like Amazonian, like Mandalorian. She was a Pantoran. Her name was Desdemira, and she was like tall, and she had a shoulder-mounted rocket and rocket launcher, and just weapons all over. And my husband was role playing a Twi'lek sniper slash thief who had like like a love hate relationship with my Mandalorian. And then when I started cosplaying, I was like, of course, like I'm going to build my my Mandalorian, my Pantoran with all like her like giant rocket launchers and stuff like that. And then my husband got me a set of Leku, and I was like, well, what if I build your Twi'lek, Rio? And he never got his character back. He never got her back. Yeah. She's been mine for 12 years, I think. That's what husbands support. Yep. Yep. He gave me an awesome character, and I just stole it. Hey, Junior, I'm doing good. How are you doing? Okay, this is going to be a little awkward. I need to use barge, but I need to open the window. So prepare for a hopefully not jarring moment of fuckery because it's right there. So up close and personal with Amber. Okay, there we go. Yay, and I didn't even destroy anything. So go me. Like, I really wish I'd grabbed myself a new setup. Okay, so barge contact cement. We are going to barge these together. How do you use barge? First of all, you cover up your workspace so that you don't get barge everywhere. Second of all, you wear gloves because otherwise you're going to have, oh, my camera is super overexposed. There we go. You're going to have barge all over your hands. I need to see if I can even open this though. I might have to go ask Matt to open it. No. I should have pre-opened this. Ha 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 ha. I can do it. All right. It immediately stinks up the entire room. Okay. So here's where I have my PPE talk. I'm going to be wearing half of the PPE I should be wearing. If you are using barge, if you are using some of these other glues, please wear a respirator. Please believe me when I say that when I am crafting with these, not on stream, I am wearing a respirator. I have people who are like, oh, but they're so hot, they're so uncomfortable. Get the Cool Flow respirators and deal, because it's more important to be slightly uncomfortable than it is to like be comfortable and have cancer. Okay. So again, normally I'm wearing PPE. Please wear PPE. You guys aren't going to be able to hear me talk if I wear the PPE. So what I'm going to do is I am going to apply a thin layer to each. It's going to be very glossy and very bright. And then we're going to wait for it to get tacky. And then we are going to press it together. Hold on, I'm going to trim this up a little bit. It's very important that when you are gluing two lines, like two seams together, the best way to get a seamless seam is to have smooth cuts. These aren't like the smoothest, but I'm not super worried because I also have caulk that I can just fill it later. But if you are trying to get smooth, nice, crisp seams, it's so important that this line be crisp and well cut. So here we go. So as you can see, the barge is super gloopy. And I'm just going to apply a thin layer, not the thinnest. We want it to be well coated, but we don't want it to be, damn it, my gloves. Why'd you guys let me do that with my gloves? I didn't put my respirator on, so I didn't have the respirator gloves thing. It's always respirator then gloves. Okay, anyway. So we don't want it running. We don't want a lot of excess. Barge does not look good when it oozes out, so you don't want so much that it's going to ooze out. Again, you can see that it's very stringy. It's very goopy. The downside with barge is that it can be really hard to get it to go precisely where you want it and only where you want it, which is why a lot of people don't like using it. But one of the tricks I've seen is I've seen people put the barge in like a squeeze bottle, and then you can just squeeze it out. And that's a really good way of doing it. So I'm just going to rub most of this off. Okay. I just wanted to mention the gloves. Django, like that was like 30 seconds too late. Eric says, you didn't steal her, you get half your stuff. Hell yeah, I do. I get half his stuff. What's mine is mine, and what's his is mine. Okay, so as you can see, look how glossy this is. I don't know if my webcam is showing that really well, but look how glossy it is. If you put this together when it is this glossy, it's just going to like peel apart. Jago says, shouldn't you wash your hands now that the barge is on it? I will. Yeah, it's not going to kill me that it's on my finger a little bit. But I will be washing my hands later, and I have like goo off stuff that'll take it off. So we are just going to wait until a lot of that shine is gone. When we say tacky means that it is like halfway to dry, but not all the way dry. So you want it to no longer really be very shiny. And this is what, again, one of those things, I should like wave it into my face. This is one of those things where like, I really recommend just like your first build or whatnot, like just mess it up. Like just put glue down and try it at different stages. Like you're going to get a feel for when it's best. Like we're almost there. You can see it's a little less shiny. It's looking a little bit more matte and not as shiny. But really, like, don't rush it. A lot of times what I do when I'm doing the contact cement is I put the contact cement on and then I like leave it. Like I'll just put them down. I'll go do something else. My ADHD in like 10, 15 minutes will be like, oh, hey, weren't you gluing something? And then I'll go glue it and it'll be good. So like, this is one of those situations where like being ADHD is like kind of useful. All right. You can kind of see it's not as glossy. It's the only other thing I don't like about barge is waiting on it. Entertain me while I'm waiting. What are you guys working on? What cosplays are you working on? What fun hobby stuff are you working on right now? Does it involve glues? Is it topical? Is it topical to glues? Oh my God. Almost there. Patience. Patience is a virtue that I do not have. This is the important part. I want to glue Count Dooku to Yoda. You could do that with some Prosaid. It's a good goal, Turco, gluing Dooku to Yoda. Django is giving me the first aid recommendations for barge. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then our Ghost in the Machine is working on Solus and Sailor BB. Oh, I didn't know about Sailor BB-8. Yeah. Clean shoes. Oh yeah, the clean shoes thoroughly before use is because it's a shoe glue. Yeah. Turco's like glue wars. Okay, I think we're finally there. Okay, so as you can see, I have like the guidelines. I try to remember to do them. It's always better to do them because then you can line things up nicely. This is the part with barge that it's important that it goes together once, and that's it. You do not readjust. So I'm putting them together and I am just lightly pushing them together. You will know if you didn't wait long enough on your barge because it will immediately start pulling apart again. Okay. I'm just going a little bit at a time, trying to make sure I line them up. This is where it gets fun. Ah! See, that's what we don't want to do. Okay, and then I'm just going to push it together. Got a little bit misaligned down here, but okay. It can be hard to do like the more complex shapes like that if you're not used to it. So one of the things you could do if you were doing it is you could do it over top of like whatever negative you're using. So don't be afraid to like use other things to kind of help you. Eric says, respirator than gloves. I thought it was boots than corset. These are important like rhythms in your life. Is respirator than gloves. And well, respirator, eye protection than gloves if you need eye protection. If you're just gluing, you don't need eye protection. I think you could always use eye protection, but like you don't need it. All right, so I'm going to trim this down here because I, as per usual, did not cut perfectly, so I'm a little bit misaligned. Okay. Junior asked, are you making that for yourself or for somebody else for cosplay? I'm making it for myself. It's going to be a shoulder pauldron for like a druid type character using some of my special effects props and stuff like that. This is also going to be on my YouTube channel as a video as well. Turco says, do you have any original characters in mind to create? So many. The next Twi'lek I want to make is going to be a Twi'lek Mandalorian for the MMCC. And then the other next Twi'lek after that, I want to make a Lothcat trainer in the style of like, if Pokemon trainers were in Star Wars, what would she look like? So going to have like the hat and like jacket and stuff like that. So I'm going to take like that Pokemon trainer aesthetic and turn it into Star Warsy aesthetic and then have a Lothcat with me. So she's gonna be a Lothcat trainer. So I am very excited about that one. I think it's gonna be fun and bouncy. I'm planning on her to be either green or purple. I also need to make a Twi'lek Jedi at some point. I kind of want to make a purple Jedi, so I don't know. But those are the colors I need right now is green and purple. Which Disney Plus Star Wars show is your favorite? Mine is Obi-Wan. The Mandalorian. No, Ahsoka. Oh, but the Mandalorian. But Ahsoka. And then Django pointed out Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew was awesome. I don't know. I like them all. Book of Boba Fett was so fucking good too. Like Fennec Shand is like my girl. I freaking love her. Okay, so we've got our shoulder pauldron. Yay! Look how nicely glued together that is. So now we need to let it sit for just a little bit because if I start, like I need to fine tune the shape as you can see. Like it's not, like I need more of a curve like on the sides because I want it to like sit like this. you know, not like this. So I need to heat shape it a little bit more, but if I start yanking on it at this precise second, it might pull the barge apart. So we're going to set that to the side for just a moment, and we're going to move on to other pieces. So, I mean, we're not setting this aside, but we're going to heat shape it. So this is going to go here. See? Or maybe, no, I think it's going to be right there. And it's going to, so this is going to go here. And then I'm going to have a Sintra bird perched on it like this with the wings like this. And that's going to, the wings are going to be where I glue a bunch of gossamer feathers on. So it's going to be this really pretty like bird perched on like a glowing orb, because I'm going to put fairy lights in here. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. And then this whole thing is stupid lightweight, so that way I can actually, I'm going to put like a little leather strap right here and coat that with latex, and then I'm going to use that to glue it straight to my shoulder. So this will be glued straight to my shoulder with no other visible harness or anything like that. So we're going to make sure that I can open my glue later. Go back over there. This is the part I always forget, is to clean off my barge, as you saw. And then I can't open it if it doesn't get cleaned off. This is, again, another reason why people put it in like squeeze bottles. Okay, and then we're going to cinch that and put that back over there. Yay, huzzah. Okay, Turco says, when Cad Bane showed up, I just about dropped a, yeah. And it was fun to see him in practical effects too. Like people are like, oh, he doesn't look like he did in the animated. Well, yeah, because he's not like a freaking CGI character. He's a real person. Junior says, I saw Obi-Wan because I always wanted a solo Obi-Wan film or show, and it was everything I wanted. Yeah, it was pretty intense. It was really good. Eric says, well, not adhesive, but rope keeps things in place. That's true. That's true. It's true. And in fun ways too. I'm gonna do like a non-adhesives, like attachments cosplay video at some point and talk about all the things like rivets and elastic and strapping and stuff like that that keep things to your body without gluing it. So, all right, this piece, which is the bird motif, this is Sintra. You might be being like, Amber, why don't you just make this part out of foam? And I'm going to say 2 reasons. A, I hate foam. But more importantly, I want to glue a bunch of feathers that are going to cascade down my shoulder. And it's going to be out of like gauze. So it's going to be lightweight, but it will still be a degree of weight and a degree of like tension on it. So instead of putting a foam piece that's going to get like wrinkled and bent and stuff like that, I'm going to use Sintra because this is as lightweight as foam. Like this doesn't weigh any more than this. It weighs a little bit more than like a foam piece of this exact proportions would, but not by much. And it is pretty solid. So I will be able to glue a bunch of feathers to it and have like this long trail that I want, like a peacock feather train, without it like bending or damaging the Sintra piece. And it'll keep it all lightweight. So I have this piece that I've already preemptively dremeled the edges, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a light sanding. The nice thing with Sintra is that because it's got such a good like texture, you usually don't need to sand it very aggressively. I like to sand it just to get it all smooth, especially like the difference between the roughness of the Dremel, which I realize you guys can't see because this webcam is shitty. I guess I'm getting a new one at some point. But I want this to like all have like the same texture and shine to it. So I need to take off the glossy outer part so that it's all like cohesive. So I've just got my sand, and then I have one of these. Because you can hear me with this, at least. So a lot of people only do their sanding outside, which is smart because then you don't get friggin' Sintra particulates everywhere. But I'm in my craft room. I vacuum in here regularly. So, like, it is what it is. If I'm doing, like, dremeling and stuff like that, I do that outside, though, because, like, no one wants to have to clean up mess that they don't have to, you know? So for those of you who've never used Sintra, it is a thermoplastic. Shout out to Thermo. It's a thermoplastic, which just means that is a plastic that is heat malleable, meaning that it will get soft and pliant when you apply heat to it. Worbla is also a thermoplastic. The big difference between Worbla and Sintra is that Worbla is self-adhesive when it warms up because it has a layer of like glue or something in it. I don't actually know how they make it, but like I know how they make Terraflex, which is a it's basically Worbla, only it uses leather bits and glue instead of plastic bits, which I think is what Worbla uses. I might be wrong about that. Don't quote me about that. I don't actually know about the makeup of Worbla. But basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just making sure that I have a smooth edge on everything. Whoops. I want, when I apply paint, I want everything to look the same. I'm also realizing I really need a new sanding wedge. Look at this. Yeah, like Thermo just put up, don't use your oven. Like, don't use anything for cosplay that you want to then use for food. Like, just don't do it. Here in Arizona, if you want your thermoplastics to heat up really nicely without having to use a heat gun, you just put it outside for a few minutes. I mean, maybe not today. I've got like the window open. It's actually really nice, but like Worbla is made of using wood pulp. Terraflex is leather pulp. There you go. Of the two, I prefer Terraflex. I really love Terraflex. But I think the two materials are very like interchangeable. It's not like foam and Sintra where like I feel like one has a vastly superior. I feel like they're pretty similar. So like use whichever one you like. I just like Terraflex a little bit more. I find it a little stickier and a little easier to kind of like sculpt with, I guess. Django says, I found out that sanding wedges exist like summer last year while I was renovating some stuff around the house. I will never use sandpaper again. Yeah, like I've got sandpaper here. But like, fuck this. These are awesome. Dusty says, just make sure is the screen black for anyone else on mobile, or is my app just not behaving? I hope it's not black. It's not black on my end. But if anyone else is on YouTube mobile is having black screens, please let us know so that we can troubleshoot it. Thank you, Dusty, for double checking with us. Junior says, do you have any movies that you're excited to watch this summer? I'm going to be honest. I have not kept up with what movies are coming out to know. I think the one that I was excited for was Captain America, and it was pretty good. I was excited to go see it in the movie theaters. And now I'm like, are there other movies coming out? That's a great question. It's a great question. I don't know. What is coming out this summer? Are there any good movie recs? Like, what are other people excited for? Let me know, because I live under a rock sometimes. I have been like hardcore trying to set up my TikTok's shop, which has been a nightmare. Like, if you guys see my TikTok shop up and running, please like go in and give it like a favorite or whatnot, because like it has been a nightmare to get it up and running. Like, they won't accept my tax information, and I'm like, but like, this is the only tax information I have. The product approval process is like literally like a week, and their seller portal is so slow and clunky. Like, it keeps crashing on me, and I'm like, I have 30 products to get up, and each one takes like an hour. Like, this is horrible. Django says, the last movie I watched on the big screen was episode 9. That was a little bit long ago. I've heard tell that the James Gunn saga trilogy is under production, but it's all hearsay right now. For those of you who are wondering, this is 120 grit. If I was taking the edge off, like when you cut Sintra, of course, like this edge is going to be kind of like sharp and jagged. If I was trying to take that off, I would be using 40, 60, or 80 grit, depending on what I've remembered to buy. But I had a little bit of time before the stream, so I just dremeled the edges, which I prefer to do because then I can just use this wedge instead of having to like use multiple ones. If depending on the type of finish you want is dependent on how far into the sandpaper like line you want to go. If you are looking for a very chrome, very shiny look, you are going to go all the way up to 4,000, and you're going to need to wet sand and everything like that whole shebang. If you want just a nice smooth shine, 120 to 400 is all you need. Like, let's see. Junior says James Gunn's Superman is coming this summer. Oh, that's right. I saw the trailer for that. That doesn't look bad. I've never been a DC girl, but I have been enjoying a lot of the DC offerings more recently. So I will probably look at that. Cinema is expensive. Yeah, it is. It costs like $30 for us to go now. Like, it's horrible. Dusty says, a few refreshes fixed it. Yay! Welcome, Dusty. Welcome to the world of color. Oh no, your screen is black again. I'm sorry, I'm a turd. I think I'm so funny. I do. Okay. So another thing that I see people kind of struggling with sometimes is the order of things. And what I mean by it is, when do you sand, when do you shape, et cetera, et cetera. For me, I tend to do most of the bulk of the sanding before I shape, just because it's easier to sand something that's flat than it is to sand something that's like a crazy shape. This is going to stay like this shape, so it's like no problem, but like this is going to get curved. So I tend to sand like before I heat shape, but I would say 75% of the sanding, then I heat shape, and then I do the last 25% of the sanding. Because when I heat shape it, you are going to see that it does create a few more imperfections and ripples and stuff like that in the actual Sintra itself. So I will do the bulk of the sanding, heat shape it, and then do the fine sanding to make sure that it's really nice looking. And this is, it's so gritty and it's touching me and I'm like, oh, I hate it. I kind of do the same thing for foam too. I think I do a lot of the sanding and the like detailing and stuff like that when it's flat. Like you saw, I trimmed a lot of the edges and stuff like that. But I would say with foam, I do 25% of the sanding ahead of time, and then 75% of the sanding once it's mostly shaped. Mostly because you're not going to get a good finish on foam until you've heat shaped it all the way closed. Like when you start with your EVA foam, it's like, how do I even explain it? There's the foam is a structure. It's not a solid. There's space in it. There's like bubbles and stuff like that. So when you heat shape it, it kind of crunches in on itself. So if you do all of your sanding, you have to deal with a lot more of those spaces. And then when you heat shape, you get like a pebbled kind of texture. Whereas with foam, if you get it close enough and then heat shape it, it's going to like shrink in and get really dense. And then you can sand and get a nice, smooth final texture. So for foam, 25% of the sanding, then heat shape, then the final 75. With Sintra, anywhere from 75 to 90% of the shaping or the sanding before shaping, and then the final just pass, usually of a 400, which I think is what I'll probably do with this, which I probably won't make you guys sit here and watch me resand it to 400. Like, who wants to watch someone sand something for an hour, you know? Which I think baby cosplayers don't know just how much sanding there is in cosplay. So much sanding. No matter what you do, there's just going to be always sanding to do. Which is, again, why I like the Sintra, because the sanding's really easy. I think it's Django says I wear gloves when I'm sanding. Oh, that's smart too, especially if you don't like the gritties. My problem is with gloves specifically is that I have tiny little hands, and so even the small gloves are too big on me, and it's hard for me to reliably manipulate things. I had one set of work gloves, like heavy duty work gloves for like cutting and stuff like that I really, really loved. And I've lost one of them and I'm really upset about it because I don't remember where I found them. But like I went to Harbor Freight, our local like kind of like cheaper supply place, and all they had were like work gloves that would like hang off my fingers. I'm like, I can't use these. Like, if I'm trying to Dremel something, it's usually something like that big. So Dusty says, I didn't know heat sealing gave a better base for polishing foam. Yeah, absolutely. And like it makes more difference on the cheaper foam too. So like your EVA floor mats, like I'm gonna be honest, I will heat those suckers 3 separate times when I'm working on them. I will sit there and I do a first pass before I even trace anything onto it, because that already kind of tightens it up a little bit. And then I cut it out, and then I'll, heat it to shape it. And then I go in, and once it's fully shaped, I do a really like intense heating pass to kind of just like really get it as tight as it's going to get without ruining the nature like without burning it. And that's why I say, like, with foam, especially if you've never, or if you're a newbie to it, just get some foam scraps and burn them to shit. Like, learn how far you can push the foam before it is inescapable. And like, you'll find that you can get some really cool textures too by ruining your foam, by like overheating it. There are places on some of my foam builds where I intentionally burn the EVA foam a little bit to get really good weathering, because you can get like a really cool like bubbling effect. So would you do Amazon Prime The Boys cosplay? No, I didn't like The Boys. No, it is a good show. I know many people who like it. That sort of shock entertainment is not my cup of tea. I also didn't watch Game of Thrones for the same reason and Walking Dead for the same reason. I personally don't vibe with things that are shocking or, oh my God, that sort of thing. Like, again, no shame to anybody who does like it. It's just, for me, I also grew up in a very, 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 very Christian backing. And so some of the things that happen with Homelander hit a little too close to home, and it makes me very uncomfortable. So, but my husband watched The Boys and he really liked it. So, all right. Well, we're halfway done with this one, so that's good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to really like shape it really weird. Like, just wait. This is going to be the weirdest decision. I was sitting there thinking, like, I could have done this all out of one piece, but it would have been like a pain to sand. So I'd rather do it in two separate pieces, have an easier time sanding, and just have to glue it together. Dusty says some people just prefer escapism. I'm on that team as well. Yes. I am the person who likes happy endings, because I am all too aware that we do not get them in real life. And so if I am going to spend time with other creatures and people and situations, I want them to come away with a happy ending, because it is bad enough to not get them in real life. So, that's not how everyone is, and that's fine. Like, that's why there's so much media, and that's why it like cracks me up when like people are like, oh, well, like I don't jive with this. Like, this doesn't like interest me at all. I'm like, okay, then it's not for you. Go watch something else. Like, not everything has to be for everybody. Like, we are people. Like, one of my favorite movies in the entire fucking world is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I realize that movie is not for everyone. I would watch that movie constantly. I loved everything about that movie. But when people go, oh yeah, I didn't really like it, I didn't really get it. I get it. I understand. Like, it's not necessarily for you if you don't like that, like, absurdist kind of escapism, kind of ridiculousness. Junior asks, growing up from your background, how did you find cosplay? Accidentally. Completely accidentally. My husband and I were, he was my boyfriend at the time, just moved here to Phoenix, and we were looking for friends, and somehow came across the Steampunk Society, which was having regular meetings. And we're like, oh, great. Like, people we can like talk to and stuff like that. So we started going to the Steampunk Society, and made friends there, met a bunch of people in the community. And that was kind of like the inroad for me. All of my first few outfits, cosplays, creations were all steampunk. My first dozen or so builds, I would say, were steampunk builds. And I knew of cosplay as far as like pop culture characters and stuff like that, but it didn't really take off for me until my husband got me a set of Leku for Christmas. And I was like, oh, I've never really thought about like cosplaying Star Wars stuff, but I was so excited. I had so much fun. And I remember the first time I put the Leku on and wore them, we were doing a photo shoot. It was like a potluck / photo shoot / hangout session with the Star Wars clubs in Arizona. It's the annual South Mountain potluck. And I put together some black clothes. We went to Easley's here in Phoenix and got literally the worst like body paint in existence. And I brought that all to the potluck. And so once we finished eating, my husband, myself, and one of our friends, Molly, shout out to Molly, you're a real one, sat there splodging blue paint on me, just literally just like slathering it on. And it was atrocious. It was the worst paint job in existence. Like when people say, oh, here's my first paint job, it was really bad. No, guaranteed mine was worse. It was atrocious. It was so bad. It was splotchy. It was uneven. I didn't do any of my makeup. So like I had that like pale, like peach ring around my eyes, but I had so much fun being blue. And everyone was like, oh my God, like it's so cool. Like it's very cool that you're blue. And then I was like, okay, let's do this again. And so then we actually put kind of like the time and effort into like researching body paint and looking for like how to make it work better and how not to have to spend 2 hours frantically like slapping paint on me. That body paint also like smudged off at a touch too. So like we spent 2 hours putting it on. And I think the whole thing, like the good paint lasted like maybe half an hour before like it was just crappy looking. And I was just like, all right, well, glad we spent all that time for me to just look really bad really fast. But yeah, that was the trajectory. Steampunk for friends, and then a set of Leku, and then now I'm here. So, you know, it's kind of funny how life happens at you sometimes. I definitely, I would not have predicted this. That's for sure. I would not have predicted this. Okay, so that's pretty decent. I'm probably going to sit. There's some like imperfections and stuff like that, but I will probably sit and work on that later because y'all have watched me sand for enough, and we have about half an hour before I want to go get coffee because I like coffee. So we are going to heat shape this. I'm going to roll this up. And then, voila! Yay! Okay. I always see like other cosplayers with like their like beautiful setups and their like clean, perfect tables. And I'm like, do you buy a new table every week? Because like my tables are always like just jacked to shit, or they have to be covered with newspaper. Like I don't know. I guess it's the magic of like having enough money to buy a new table every time. Jingo says, good night, Jingo. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. Dusty says, my first try to Twi'lek cosplay was at an event on a rainy day. I'm so surprised my paint held up through the whole day. What paint did you use? Because that's great. That's fucking great. The first few paints I used were all water-based. So if it was a rainy day, it would have just been like gone. Like, you don't save the... Junior, I do save the coupons. These aren't the ones with coupons. These are just the ones that say we're going to like Like this is what's on sale. Or it's like the coupons for tires, which I'm too poor to buy new tires. Like I don't have to buy new tires right now. I'm not going to buy new tires right now. Okay, so where did it go? Here we go. All right. Okay, so my grand plan for shaping this is I'm going to heat this. Whoops, let me lean back so you guys can actually see. I heat this right there, and then I'm going to pinch this over top of this. And that way it's going to create just a little, like little well that I can then DevCon things together. Oh, I can take this off. Oh. All right. So yeah, so I'm gonna heat shape this and just like, and we're gonna see if it works, because here's the thing, guys. I go into things with a plan. I go into things with a great thought out step-by-step plan. I know what I'm going to do every step of the way. Like I know I'm going to like make the divot. I'm going to put this on this, and then I'm going to glue this on this with EVA or E6000, and then I'm going to glue this onto this, and then like that's all going to be good. And then I'm going to have to like block this off so I can spray paint. Like I have the plan. Whether or not that's what ends up happening is anyone's guess, because I might try this and it might not work at all. And then I go, okay, what am I going to do? And then I adjust. So this is the plan. We're going to see if it works. If not, well, I'll do something else. I'll probably cut it in half and then just glue it on either side. Like that's my secondary plan. So I've got like the secondary plan. Okay. I need you. Come here. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to heat right here. Oh, noise. I will give when I'm done. Okay. Noise. Okay. This also might be a point where if you have feeling in your hands, you might want protective gloves. I do not have heat feeling in my hands anymore. Like, you know that like meme where you like grab things off the stove? Like that's me. When I'm like heating up tortillas and stuff like that, I just grab them. Okay, so as you can see, I created a little, I don't know if you can see. This is getting worse by the, like, I should have gotten like a real webcam and not whatever this thing is. But if you can kind of see, I created like a little M that is then, whoops. Thank you. You've got to be heat shaped to this. So that's going to go there. Like, it's going to go there. See? And then this is going to go I like that. Yes. Oh gosh. This is going to work. It's going to work. I'm so excited. Okay. I need it a little tighter though. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I keep like blocking this. I'm not used to having that there. So you can see my tight little channel right there too. I want it just wide enough that this is going to fit. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work really well. I'm actually really happy with that. Because it kind of looks pretty good from the sides too. Like, yeah. So one of the things you can do with Sintra especially is when you heat shape it, if you want, like if it's in a position or a shape that you think, what am I trying to say? If there is a danger of the shape collapsing. So if you've done a really deep bowl or a really like sharp kind of bevel like this one, and it's going to be like on the shoulder out in the sun or on the helmet or something like that. If there is a danger of the heat getting to it, you can do what's called shocking it. which is you can shape it, and then when it's still kind of warm, plunge it into cold water. And like it sucks the heat out immediately and like freezes the Sintra in place. I don't do it unless I really feel like I should, because it does also make the Sintra slightly more brittle, which that's the one downside to Sintra, is that it's not really flexible. It can be brittle and it can easily break. But I'm really happy with how this is coming together. Guys, I broke it. Whoops. Okay, so I know, right? Oh, this is going really well. That's going to be a short on YouTube. This is going really well. It's going great. Clack. All right, well, let me show you one of the nice things about Sintra is that when you fuck it up, it's easy to fix it. I cannot believe that. Thermo, can you fucking believe that? It's going so well. Click. Oh, amazing. Okay, so I'm going to use the super glue to like lightly fix this. And then once this is, there we go. Once this is mostly done, what I'll probably do is I'll go back with some DevCon and like build up this base, especially because like this base is going to have a lot of stress on it because of the tail feathers coming down. So I think it's really smart actually to come back in and, oh, come on, just stay. Come back in and hello, can you fix? Thank you. Reinforce it with some DevCon. I guess I could have talked about how to use super glue. So how to use super glue. You apply it where you want it to one side. You press the two sides together and you hold for a minute or two. There is sprays, or there is what's it called? I think it's a spray actually, that you put the super glue down and then you spray it, and the spray makes it the super glue set faster. So then it goes just shunk right into place. So it becomes more of an instant thing. Whereas super glue is it's pretty much instantaneous, but it's not always instantaneous, you know. It takes a couple of minutes. Dusty said, better break it while you're building it than losing it at a con. Abso-freaking-lutely. This is also why I recommend for anything that you guys build, wear it around the house at least a little bit, just to see like where it's gonna like this is a great example because I put pressure on that and it snapped, and now I'm sitting here thinking, oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of pressure on it, so I need to reinforce that. So now I know to reinforce it there. But like definitely, like if you have a piece of armor that you've never worn to a convention before, you know, either wearing it to like a meetup or a photo shoot or just around the house will be a kind of better test run. And if all else fails, just bring duct tape. Yeah, like if this had snapped at con, I would have just duct taped it back together because then I could peel the duct tape off later. So there you go. I have a tiny little ridge where the super glue is. I know you guys can't see it. It's atrocious. So tiny little ridge. So I will go back later and put DevCon, or I could right now just reinforce it with some Terraflex. Let's just reinforce it with some Terraflex. Let's do that. Let's do that. This is my Terraflex scraps. This is where all the Terraflex bits go for moments like these, where I go, oh, I need a Terraflex scrap. I do not keep foam scraps. I do keep Terraflex. Every single thing, even the little tiny ones. Like these. This is my like little bitty ones. These are all the like the tiny, tiny bits. Because this I can use to, you can kind of line them up and then you can roll them and create like long like tubes and stuff like that. Also, there's vinyl and stuff in here. Who knows? Okay. All right. I think that's a good size. All right. So going back to what I was talking about before with thermoplastics, these are both thermoplastics. This is Sintra, this is Terraflex. Both of them heat up and become malleable when they're hot. The big difference is, like Thermo Cosplay pointed out earlier, that the Terraflex or Warbler, they're like the same thing, right? If I say Terraflex, you can substitute Warbler. There are some fine differences. Like I said, I think Terraflex is stickier, which is why I like it better. But some people don't like it because of that, because it's too sticky, so it can be hard. Anyway, but this has glue in it, so it is self-adhesive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down. No, I'm not, because I'm going to heat it up. Okay, hold on. All right. I'm going to put it. The reason I was like, I'm going to put something down is because like I have all these holes in my heating pad and they start to smoke if I heat over top of them. So I have to like be careful. So I'm going to heat it over here, but I'm just going to heat it. I guess like I forgot to tell people that they could come back. As you can see, it is now quite goopy. It is quite malleable. So I have wrapped it around the spot, and now I'm going to just gently kind of work it with my fingers. It is very, very, very sticky. Again, that's that glue, right? If you are finding that you are trying to work with it or Warbler and that your fingers just keep sticking, a little bit of Vaseline on your fingers, just the tiniest amount, not so much that your fingers become like oily, like you can't grab anything, but just enough will help keep it from sticking to you. And when this dry or cools down, it's going to cool down hard. So now it's going to support it. Dusty says, I still need to figure out how to properly attach claws to my bird feet. They keep detaching at the claw. What are the claws made out of, and what fabric or what material are you attaching them to? Because I have thoughts. I mean, I always have thoughts. Junior says, 2019, 2020 was hard personally, and I know everyone had their own challenges that time. I hope you were okay that time. It sucked. Like, I think it sucked for everybody, but like, I'm glad I'm on the other side of it because I'm much better off. '20 really got me to start considering my mental challenges. I had plenty of time to think about why I was struggling and realized that a lot of what I was seeing from women with ADHD really resonated with me. And so I got my diagnosis, and I am so happy I did. Like, it has made a world of difference, like so much fucking difference. Okay, so I'm going to heat up right here a little bit because I want this to keep shape. I feel like the Terraflex should get an honorary mention as an adhesive too, because like the amount of times that I use the Terraflex to like repair things, like in that situation, I used the super glue, but like the really like the actual thing that's going to make the difference is the Terraflex. Now, the one thing with the Terraflex is that it is a very different texture from the Sintra. You can, and this is gonna be true of Warblet too. If you're using Warblet in this situation, it's gonna be a very different texture. It is absolutely possible to just sand it or hide it or whatever. I will probably go over it with a couple layers of wood glue. Wood glue is my favorite thing to finish Terraflex with. You can also use it to finish Warbler. And it basically, you just do a couple of layers, let them dry, and then you can sand it and it will become the same texture as the Sintra. So that's what will happen probably off camera because we're kind of winding down. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I have not had to talk this much in a really long time. Like, and thank you all for being here. Like, I know there's not like, I know there's a lot of other things you can be doing. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I appreciate those of you who are watching in the stream. I appreciate those of you who are watching afterwards and leaving comments and stuff like that. This is something I want to get back into. So if you guys have suggestions about like, oh, Amber, I think it would be better if you were bigger and the work cam was smaller. It was good, but like the lighting was bad. We couldn't hear you. Like if like the topic was like too vague or whatever, like if there's anything, oh yeah, look at like I'm halfsies now. Look how big I am. But if there's anything that you guys have as far as suggestions, please let me know. This is, like I said, the first time in like 4 or 5 years that I've, oh my God, I think it's longer than that. I think it's like, when was the last time I logged on to Twitch? Somebody tell me that. No, I don't know why I'm looking. It's been a while. But it was something I really loved doing, and it's something that I'd like to get back into doing. So I've got about like 8 minutes or so before I was going to wrap up. I might wrap up just a little bit early because I want that coffee. But now is the time. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me look at what Dusty said. Dusty says, so the toes are EVA foam. Cool. The slots cut out for the claws to settle into. Okay, so we got toes and then claws. The claws are made with epoxy sculpt and glued in place with E6000. And the E6000 is failing? That's so weird. The slots for the claws aren't perfectly to size, so in the first attempt, I used hot glue thinking it would work well because it filled up the gaps. Yeah, so I could see where you would go with hot glue. I could also see why that would fail. I am surprised to hear that the E6000 failed because that's what I would go with because it's flexible, but it goes great with foam and epoxy sculpt. I wonder how smooth is your epoxy sculpt? For second attempt, I instead used foam clay to fill up the gaps, stamp claw in to get a perfect hole to settle claw into, and then was glued in place with E6000. Okay, did it fail at did the foam clay pull away from the EVA foam or did the claw pull away from the foam clay? I'm sure you're probably like already texting this. Like it's the fun of the delay where I'm just like, oh, I'm waiting in suspense. Thank you, Junior. I love you too. It's good to see familiar faces and to see new faces too. Like I appreciate it. I need to friggin' figure out what my Twitch password is because I was supposed to stream to YouTube and Twitch because like, I mean, you stream on Twitch, right? But God only knows I can't remember what my Twitch password was like, again, like 8 years ago. And I think it's connected to the email address that I've lost because we moved web providers. And so like we lost access to that specific email. So I think the foam clay failed rather than the glue. My current thought is to mix some of the glue into the foam clay. Have you heard of friendly plastic? That's what it is. What about friendly plastic? Okay, so friendly plastic are these little it's washing it out so bad. Let me call them out. Friendly plastic is little plastic beads. You open. I know you open. But they're these little plastic beads. And what you do is okay, they're a pain to work with. Okay. So like, I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat, they're a pain to work with, but they might like work really well for, yes, this, thank you. That you can actually say it. They might work well for your claws and the socket. So they're little pellets of plastic. And what you do is you use extra hot water, like boil some water, put it in a pot. Again, not a pot that you are going to use for food. This now becomes your cosplay pot, right? Cosplay on it becomes your cosplay pot. Okay. So boil the water, then take a spoon, and I recommend either a silicone ladle or a wooden, maybe no, if you can get a silicone like scoopy thing, use a silicone one, because you put these in the hot water and they get clear and they get sticky. And what you can do then is you scoop them out and then you can press them into a mold or into a cavity. So what you could do is you could get these really warm, press them into the clay, press the claw into them while they're still hot, and they would create a perfect socket. And these will absolutely adhere to the E6000, like crazy good. They'll adhere to the E6000. You can even make your claws out of these too. So like, Thermo says, I use neoprene coated automotive gloves to grab the heated beads out for some. Oh yeah, that's great. I'm purposely not saying what I do because it's not the smart thing to do. But yeah, these are friendly plastic. I love it. They're just they're really, really great. If you wanted to go like extra, what you could do is you could use the epoxy sculpt to make a mold of your claws, like even just using just like basic mold making stuff from Joann's. Like they've got like this putty that you can put over things to make a mold. You can make a mold, and then you could make the claws out of the friendly plastic. Let that, like, you melt them, push them in, do it like a little bit at a time because they do come as beads and you don't want like gapping in between the beads. So you really want to mush them up really good in there. Your claw up like that, and then heat up more, put it in the socket and push them into the socket. And then you've got just one cohesive piece into your thing. I've used these for fingernails. I've used these for teeth. I have used these for little details. They're just like a nice little like, oh, Joy, don't remind me, Thermo. Okay, a moment of silence for Joann's. I'm gonna have to order so much stuff ahead of time. I don't plan ahead. Like, this is like such a pain in the butt. Like, I'm so mad at Joann's. Like, it's not even about the fabric either, because like, luckily, I mean, it is about the fabric. Like, luckily for us here in Phoenix, we have a thing called SAS fabrics. Am I smudged on my forehead? Anyway, we have this thing called SAS fabrics, which generally does have a really great range of fabric choices. But it sucks because they have basically whatever they have is whatever they have. So if you're looking for something specific, like you might be out of luck there. So, but yeah, try the friendly plastic over in Europe, but I think a localish workshop has a similar plastic. Yeah, check out plastic pellets. I know what the European version is. I do. What is it? Dusty, if I remember, I will find you in the comments and direct message it to you. Thermo might be Google fooing it, but there is a version of the friendly pellets that is in Europe, because I've had conversations with one of my friends who builds things, and she's in France and she uses it. But if like, it would at least cut out one more additional fail point, because then your claw and your socket could all be one thing. Yeah, thank you. Polymorph. Yes, polymorph plastic. Thank you, Thermo. Gosh, I love having a ghost in the shell. It's so handy. It's so fucking handy. So, okay. So for me, next steps with this is going to be letting it cure, and then I'm going to heat shape it. Then I'm going to glue this together with the DevCon, which I'm going to do outside because DevCon is the stinkiest of all these fucking glues, and it is horrendous. And then I'm going to start painting the pieces. I'm going to be using the E6000 to glue the feathers on, and I'm going to be using the super glue to add details. And then the hot glue I'm going to be using to add scroll work too. So look forward to a video showcasing those additions to what I've already created. If you have any questions, let me know. You can find me at amberbriteprops.com. That is where my store is, as well as tutorials. It is kind of like half up. My service provider, like the server that hosted my website got corrupted and they lost my entire website, like the whole thing. And we're like, okay, just use a backup. That's fine. And they're like, oh no, all the backups got corrupted too. Like, what is the point of backups if they're in the same place that could be corrupted? Like, anyway, so my lovely husband, Mission Control Photography, has had to rebuild it from the ground up. He is doing a really good job on it. I have a lot of tutorials to get up on it, but the shop is up, including the Twi'leks Are My Type shirt. I don't think the Pride version is up yet, but the basic version is up if you want to go take a look at that. But amberbriteprops.com as my base of operations. Please, if you are watching on Facebook, please like both me and Cause Talk Live, as well as Age of Radio. On YouTube, we have my channel, Age of Radio, and Cause Talk Live's channels. If you want other streams, there are other streams that go on Cause Talk Live. Thermo, our ghost in the machine, does a gaming stream. I believe she is playing through Mass Effect right now. So if you want to hang out with someone very cool who is playing Mass Effect. And then we have a couple of other really amazing creators, including the Jinx Cosplay and Diane Thermo. What's Diane's cosplay name? There's other cosplay creators who are following that have different like shrinks. Yeah, Makaria Drake. Yeah, so Makaria Drake just did a live stream, and she'll be having more live streams. And then the Jinx Cosplay is doing more of like an interview, podcasty type stream. So if you like what you saw, please let us know. Please follow us on those channels. If you are watching this after the fact, please go to Cause Talk Live for the calendar as far as what's going on in the future. My name is Amber Brite. You can find me at Amber Brite Props, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, not Twitter, because fuck Elon Musk. And you can reach me at amberbriteprops.com if you have any questions, or through DMs on any of those websites. I am not always the best at responding, but I will do my level best. But that's all for tonight. Thank you guys again. Remember, stay creative, keep trying, and don't be afraid to fuck up. Like, that's where a lot of the fun of cosplay comes from, is fucking up and being like, oh, that was cool. That wasn't what I expected, or finding something new. And don't be afraid to find some other cosplayers and geek out about all the cool things you've done. We cosplayers absolutely love to talk cosplay. So I will be back for sure next month, the third Thursday of the month, April. So the third Thursday of April is when I will be back from 5 to 7 Mountain Standard Time, because I don't think daylight savings times is happening again. I forget. But catch me then. Catch me on all my other social media websites, and catch some of the other awesome Cause Talk Live people as they're doing their gaming streams and stuff like that. Shout out to our Ghost in the Shell Thermo cosplay for not only keeping me on track, but keeping this running and keeping all those cool little like.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yay!
Bye, everybody. You can't see me, but bye.
It's our Ghost in the Shell. We love her. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Love you, and cosplay on. Bye, guys.